We had been in a decade-long relationship when Logan suddenly dumped me and married his junior Sophia in a whirlwind ceremony. At nearly 30, I kept striking out on dates. 5 years later, at our alumni reunion, they arrived as the picture-perfect suburban couple, pulling up in a Mercedes-Benz wearing Arc'teryx jackets and carrying Louis Vuitton bags. Meanwhile, I pedaled up on my bike and got left alone in the corner. That's when some busybody piped up. "Emily, where's your husband tonight?" I smiled. "He's ringing the opening bell at NASDAQ." Logan and I met freshman year. New to the big city, I'd been harassed by an elderly couple asking for bus money near campus gates. When I refused, they chased me down the street shrieking, "Heartless little brat. No decent man will ever want you." I stood there flushed crimson, trembling with anger. That's when Logan's crew appeared, a boisterous group of basketball players materializing like knights in Nike armor. He stood out immediately, dribbling his Wilson basketball and limited edition sneakers, flashing that megawatt grin. "You okay, kiddo?" he asked. Though we soon discovered we were the same age. He came from an upper-middle-class local family. I was the scholarship kid from a small provincial town. When he took me home sophomore year, I clutched my fruit basket like a lifeline. To my surprise, Mrs. Harris welcomed me warmly. "Told you she'd love you," Logan whispered, squeezing my hand. What I didn't realize then was that his mother's approval had nothing to do with me. In her mind, her son could never lose in these practice relationships. We stayed together through graduation. When my parents urged me to return home, Logan panicked. "Stay. Dad will get you some cushy job. You just focus on being Mrs. Harris." I didn't need his father's connections. My tech degree landed me a product manager position at a top company while Logan settled into an HR role at his dad's friend's firm. The city became my home. My career thriving as our relationship quietly suffocated in his family's gilded cage. However, every seemingly perfect moment in life isn't the final chapter. Getting first place in middle school wasn't. Getting into a top university wasn't. Being with him wasn't. Walking down the aisle wasn't. Raising children wasn't either. About marriage. The second year after graduation, my parents started pressuring me to make Logan commit. I felt too embarrassed to bring it up directly, fearing it'd make me seem desperate. So I casually mentioned it while joking around. Logan paused his video game, pretending not to hear. Mrs. Harris remained kind but never broached the subject of marriage. By the 4th year post-graduation, college roommates began asking why we weren't married yet. I shrugged it off with "We're still young. No rush to enter love's grave." Then came our 6th graduation anniversary, also our 10th Valentine's Day as a couple. At an intimate restaurant I'd booked. Halfway through dinner, I finally asked with forced lightness, "Should we maybe consider getting married?" Under the romantic candlelight, Logan's affectionate expression froze. "Fine," he said coldly. "I'll mention it to my mom." Relieved yet awkward, I quickly changed the subject. Weeks passed without follow-up. Each time I brought it up, he grew visibly irritated. Finally, during a petty argument, he snapped, "Emily, my mom won't let me marry you." I stood stunned, yet somehow unsurprised. The sudden silence felt heavier than our shouting. Logan realized his slip but made no attempt to fix it, instead pulling out his phone. My anger didn't burn, it seeped through me like frigid floodwater. "So you never planned to marry me? Is that it?" Rubbing his temples, he snapped, "What's wrong with how we are? Why force paperwork? You're climbing the corporate ladder anyway. Wouldn't this derail?" Every word dripped with excuses. "Logan," I cut through his lies. "You make me sick." The man I'd loved for a decade had become a stranger. Tears fell despite myself. Long past caring about my pain, he glared with open contempt. "God damn it," he muttered before sneering, "Emily, Stop acting like you're the victim here. You just want to marry a local guy. Don't you? My mom's workplace is full of women from other cities with the same idea. I'm literally the best you could get. You're pushing so hard because you're terrified of losing me. Aren't you? Before Logan could finish, I walked away. That night, I crashed at a friend's place. The next morning, I stared at my puffy-eyed reflection in the mirror, splashed cold water on my face, and dragged myself to work. Adults don't get sick days for heartbreak. Logan and I had fought before. We'd always made up after our petty arguments. But this time was different. He crossed the line. My friend insisted. Don't you dare forgive him easily. I barely typed okay when Logan's message popped up. Social compatibility matters. Emily. Let's end this. My phone nearly slipped from my trembling hands. During the brutal aftermath of our out-of-the-blue breakup, I obsessively stalked Logan's social media. I kept searching for proof he still cared. Nothing. Then he posted a video tagging me, sunlight glinting off their intertwined fingers as his mother chirped. Perfect match. Get closer. The caption read, frowny face, stop lurking in the shadows like some pathetic creep. I didn't cry. My shaking fingers struggled to hit unfollow. When Mom heard about the breakup, she revived her campaign to make me move back home. What's keeping you there now? Aunt chimed in, hurry back. I had great matches lined up. But they all think you're, her voice trailed off meaningfully. I refused. But for the first time in years, my reasons had nothing to do with Logan. 6 years at the tech giant had taken me as far as I could go. My unmarried, childless status kept hitting glass ceilings. Post-breakup, I became the first in, last out. By December, my team led in KPIs. They gave the promotion to a married colleague with 2 kids. In the group chat, the newly promoted coffee's on me message spawned endless. And don't forget us little people. Jokes. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city pulsed with interchangeable worker bees. Maybe it's time to stop running the same maze. My resignation letter went out that afternoon. Years later, I still remember that moment with crystal clarity. Life's most pivotal decisions often arrive on the most ordinary days. 5 years passed. At the class reunion, only about half our graduating class showed up. A former classmate glanced discreetly at my bicycle. Emily. I greeted him warmly. Long time no. My words dissolved as a Mercedes pulled up. A glamorous woman emerged from the passenger seat. Her Chanel-style tweed set making her appear younger than our 30-something crowd. It took me a moment to recognize Sophia, Logan's wife. For years our junior. Every inch of her screamed leisure class refinement. From her manicured toes to the Chanel 19 flap bag dangling from her wrist. Logan insisted I come. She sighed, examining her French tips. So awkward not knowing anyone here. Several classmates rushed to reassure her. You'll get familiar in no time. The swarm of former classmates escorting her inside left my bicycle-riding greeter suddenly disinterested in our unfinished conversation. They reserved the central table for Sophia and Logan, who was still parking the car. I settled in the periphery, content with my corner seat. Yet somehow, the spotlight found me anyway. So you're Emily? Sophia's saccharine smile didn't reach her eyes. Logan's mentioned you. Let me apologize on his behalf. Her tone dripped with mock remorse. Youthful mistakes, right? Though I suppose for women like you back then, time was already ticking. No real assets beyond your college degree freshness. The air thickened. Some classmates wore pitying expressions, others barely concealed their amusement. Sophia's gaze lingered on my ringless left hand. Don't tell me you're still single? There's this new analyst at Logan's firm, pushing 40. 5'6" with early balding. But decent enough. I'll have him DM you later. Logan chose that moment to enter. At 33, the Harris heir still carried himself with prep school ease. His Arc'teryx windbreaker and black Louis Vuitton keep all mirroring the aesthetic of finance bro influencers. Our eyes met briefly before he looked away, settling beside Sophia with practiced charm. Behave, he chided playfully, pinching her cheek. Jared's actually seeing someone from compliance. Watching his arm drape around Sophia's shoulders, I felt memory fragments surface, how he clung to me like that during our early years at Yale. Back when his family's hedge fund was still struggling. The conversation flowed around me. By all accounts, the Harisos were thriving. They traveled together and adopted a corgi. During college, my roommate heard about how I met Logan Harris. She said Logan's heroic act proved he'd make a responsible husband. I began fantasizing about our future, never considering he might not want to be my husband at all. Everyone praised Logan as an overachiever who'd become HR manager at a major corporation so young. Talk about life goals. A classmate interjected. Did you see last week's finance magazine cover? The 27-year-old partner at Vision Tech is about to achieve financial freedom. Rumor says he'll ring the NASDAQ bell for them. She showed a photo of a sharp-suited man with chiseled features resembling a mixed heritage model, prompting gasps over his looks. While Logan was the privileged guy you'd secretly envy. This new subject seemed light years beyond mere jealousy. My phone buzzed with a message from Grant Hayes' frowny face reporting in. Boss. Arrived in New York. His airport selfie dominated the frame, suit jacket missing. Tie loosened. Top shirt buttons undone despite the chilly weather. Far more appealing than his stern magazine portrait. Someone asked. Since Sophia's playing matchmaker, does Emily even have a boyfriend? I'm married. I blurted. The room froze. Logan paused mid-shrimp peeling for Sophia. Emily. You're joking. We'd have heard. Where's your husband tonight then? I smiled. Ringing the NASDAQ bell. 5 years earlier, I'd left my job with 2-star employees. The hardest part of entrepreneurship is taking that first leap. I met Grant during my second startup year. Fresh from overseas studies. He rejected his family's business empire. His overqualified resume and pretentious bilingual speech kept failing interviews. He didn't even make it to my screening round. But when I left the office at midnight, there he was under flickering streetlights, doing push-ups. Spotting me, he sprang up. Ms. Taylor. Grant Hayes from today's interview. Your company's vision aligns perfectly with my goals. Passing on me would be your loss. There's a reason he couldn't find a job. But let's face it, attractive people always get preferential treatment. At least I didn't call the police. My apartment was right next to the office. Just a 10-minute walk. Grant followed me the entire way, rambling about his stellar academic credentials like some overeager golden retriever. After days of sleep deprivation, his voice blended with the summer cicadas into one relentless drone. We cut through the old district's alleyways when the stench of cheap liquor hit me first. 2 drunks had cornered a young woman still clutching her work tote. Her terrified eyes locked onto ours. The men barely glanced at me but froze when they saw Grant. One actually choked on his cigarette. I'd barely pulled out my phone when Grant moved. Later, the girl would describe it as like watching a Doberman take down burglars. Before the drunks could react, they were sprawled on the pavement. The woman's starry-eyed gratitude almost made me reconsider. Almost. In that moment, I decided to hire him. Not because of his heroics. I'd shed my starry-eyed freshman idealism years ago. Practicality won out. This route was my daily commute. And investors would trip over themselves to fund a startup fronted by someone who looked like he'd stepped out of a Tom Ford ad. 2 birds. 1 stone. Welcome to the team, Mr. Hayes, I said. His stupidly perfect eyes lit up like I'd handed him the Nobel Prize. The fool actually thought persistence had won me over. Years later, his memoir would include the cringeworthy line, "Tenacity conquers all, especially when courting your future wife." Now came the hard part. Our startup can't meet your salary expectations, I trailed off artfully. $8,000? he blurted, then winced at his own desperation. I let the silence stretch. Let me see what I can do. The next morning, Grant practically skipped into the office when offered $10,000, completely forgetting his initial demand was triple that. Thus began our partnership. For the first month, he arrived daily like a GQ model, tailored three-piece suits. Artfully tousled hair reeking of Creed Aventus. My favorite was watching his designer stubble disappear after realizing our 3 a.m. coding sessions didn't care about grooming. By the third all-nighter, he joined the rest of us in wrinkled teas and caffeine-fueled delirium. The night we all crashed on office floor mats. I found him using a server manual as a pillow, coding notes scribbled on his forearm. The bastard still looked annoyingly photogenic. The next morning, I caught Grant pinching his soft stomach and wailing, "Where did my six-pack go?" When he noticed me, he instantly sucked in his gut. The faint outline of abdominal muscles still showed. For months after that, he religiously hit the gym every night after work, even if it meant arriving at 10 p.m. His trust fund kid status came to light during one of my business dinners. Let me retract my earlier statement about startups being hardest at launch. Every step feels impossible until you actually make it. At these alcohol-soaked negotiations, being the only woman made me neither royalty nor peer. I became exotic prey. 3 rounds of baijiu later, my cheeks ached from forced smiling when a meaty palm landed on my thigh. "Funny you should mention," I chirped to Mr. Collins. "My boyfriend actually attended the same alma mater as you. He's always said you're the most distinguished alumnus they've ever produced. All the underclassmen idolize you." The sweaty paw paused mid-creep as Collins preened under false flattery. Other vultures circled immediately. "Since when does Emily have a boyfriend? Shouldn't your man be protecting you from this grind? This fateful connection demands celebration." Each comment carried layered implications. Collins' fingers inched higher as he guffawed. "Destiny indeed." I shot up, sloshing my drink. "To destiny." I downed the burning liquid before he could react. But the boar-faced exec wasn't deterred. His glass slammed the table, silencing the room. "Someone offered weak placations, Mr. Collins worries about your delicate constitution. Businesswomen can't grasp our methods." Collins' liquor-flushed jowls quivered. "Seems you don't want this deal. That boyfriend fairy tale? Pathetic. Any real man would have secured your funding already. Face it, he's just a gold-digging fuckboy." A sycophant added, "You should feel honored by Mr. Collins' attention, Emily." I exhaled slowly. So much for professional decorum. This meeting's over. His eruption made earlier vulgarities sound quaint. "You frigid bitch. I'm doing you a favor even showing up. You're not worth my..." Suddenly I was 16 again, trapped between grifters screaming that my naivety deserved exploitation, waiting for Logan to rescue me. But now, I slammed my wine glass on the floor and sneered, "Mr. Collins, if you don't own a mirror, surely you have toilet water?" My boyfriend has 8-pack abs, comes from 8 ethnic backgrounds, and speaks 8 languages. While I'm not Muslim, once you've tasted filet mignon, you can't stomach cafeteria meat. That's when I saw Grant standing at the private dining room entrance. I'd texted him half an hour earlier to come back me up, but couldn't tell how much he'd overheard. His chiseled features froze the room's chatter mid-breath. The man looked like he'd stepped out of a Marvel movie, still wearing gym clothes with damp hair, carrying the fresh scent of body wash. The faint post-workout flush made his cotton tee strain against defined muscles. Our eyes met. For some reason, his face flushed as he blurted, "She's right. I am multiracial." Somehow Mr. Collins' face collided with Grant's fist. The executive threatened lawsuits through swollen lips. "I'll bankrupt your pathetic startup. Untimely tech will be history by tomorrow." My stomach dropped. Maybe I'd gone too far. Yet even knowing the consequences, I'd do it again. Grant looked at me with puppy dog guilt. "Ms. Taylor, did I mess up? Mom always says I act first." Think later. I smiled despite my dread. No. Thank you. When I called you, I knew what might happen. Remember those thugs you took down when we first met? His eyes lit up like Times Square billboards. Odd I was the one who'd been drinking. Yet his cheeks stayed flushed. Maybe adrenaline crash. I'll cover legal fees. I reassured him. Miraculously, Mr. Collins canceled the police report minutes later. Had I known MS. Taylor was dating a Hayes. He fawned, bowing obsequiously as he escorted us to our car. The city's neon lights streaked across our tinted windows as we sat in gridlocked expressway traffic. Grant's thigh accidentally brushed against mine in the back seat. I side-eyed him. He immediately clamped his knees together. The silence stretched until the downtown skyline swallowed us whole. I said, "Don't you have anything to tell me?" Grant let out a startled huh? And looked at me in panic. You noticed? I nodded. Was it that obvious? How could it not be? Was Mr. Collins' sudden change of expression not smooth enough? Or did I mispronounce Mr. Hayes? Grant's long fingers tightened abruptly on his sweatpants when he heard me. His knuckles turned pink, or was it just my imagination that they looked even rosier now? I said, "Don't worry. I just want to understand my employee's situation better. You don't have to tell me if..." He cut me off. No. It's just, I haven't found the right moment. This setting isn't formal enough. And I'm completely unprepared. Not that I'm unprepared, the things are at home. And there's still. What kind of preparation does this require? I thought. Should we wait until my company goes bankrupt for him to make some dramatic comeback? Keeping my smile, I said, "Really? No preparation needed. Just say it outright." Grant pressed his lips together, visibly gathering courage. The next second, we spoke simultaneously. "I know you're actually from a wealthy family. Emily. I like you." The awkward silence was shattered by our driver's poorly suppressed laughter. The next day at the office, Grant immediately turned to leave when he saw me. After 2 steps, he seemed to realize there was nothing to run from, and turned back. He greeted me with forced nonchalance. I noticed the dark circles under his eyes. He'd changed his cologne, something bitter yet distinctive. I called out to Grant as he was leaving, "Wait." He froze, hope flashing in his eyes. After hesitating, I asked, "What cologne are you wearing?" After several seconds of silence, he muttered a brand name. Before I could say more, he'd vanished. In the following days, Grant kept avoiding me. Then his performance declined dramatically, culminating in a major mistake, the first time I genuinely considered firing him. When I called him, raucous noise filled the background. "Where are you?" "None of your business," he snapped. "I'm at a bar." The client specifically demanded his presence, forcing me to order his immediate return. Grant's voice rose sharply. "You rejected me. Can't I even drown my sorrows?" After a pause, I said, "I'm in the office." On speakerphone. Dead silence followed before he choked out, "I am coming," and hung up. My top assistant remarked, "Mr. Hayes might be foolish, but he's undeniably beautiful." A literature buff chimed in, "The court needs men like him, serving mess. Taylor doesn't require brains." There are many clever people around me, especially since Emily Technology's growth trajectory keeps improving. More and more talented individuals have joined seeking opportunities. Even those less brilliant are strategically self-serving. The office politics suddenly intensified, consuming significant time balancing competing interests. So not only did I abandon the idea of firing Grant, but even began thinking, maybe being together wouldn't be bad? Once this thought surfaced, it spread like wildfire. My heartbeat quickened, the idea becoming irrepressible. One evening after work, I stopped Grant. Our relationship began with my direct question, "Do you still have feelings for me?" That conversation started a 2-year partnership. When Grant proposed, I felt disoriented. A decade-long relationship had never reached this point. I unexpectedly remembered Logan. If Logan had proposed years ago, I'd probably be a stay-at-home mom now. I didn't accept immediately. My career remained unstable. Could I provide us a good future? Then his mother invested $20 million in my company. We got married. Success hinges on opportunities. Some ride historical waves. Others leverage family wealth. A few benefit from in-laws. I leveraged my mother-in-law. No shame here, I gained advantage. But we'll both win long-term. Emily Technologies' IPO created shared marital assets. That's why I let Grant represent us at the NASDAQ bell ceremony, a small gift to his mother. This fiercely independent woman who only stumbled in parenting never dreamed her son would ring the opening bell. As for me, my partners, formerly star subordinates, think I'm becoming work-addled. They insist I need leisure activities, like alumni reunions. They somehow procured a $50,000 titanium alloy bicycle. Clueless about specs but determined to outdo Logan's Mercedes C-Class. People admire trust fund babies. Yet they scrutinize self-made millionaires mercilessly. How'd she succeed? Impossible, mid-30s. Average background. Must be fiction. Even novels wouldn't exaggerate this much about some ordinary woman. Ordinary. Yes. But fate sometimes favors the relentlessly driven. Life offers fleeting opportunities, moments you might not even recognize. Seize one. And you soar. I'm not confessing my success to college classmates. Just cycling over for dinner with old friends. A simple recharge. The sound of laughter filled the private dining room. Emily. Since when did you develop such a sense of humor? Sophia doubled over with laughter, wiping tears from her eyes. Sis. Are you hallucinating? It's broad daylight. Logan glanced at me with undisguised disdain. To him, our brief past relationship remained a stain on his impeccable record. A server knocked and entered, holding 2 crisp $100 bills. The gentleman who hit the bicycle parked outside left this compensation. He was in a hurry. Must be Emily's. Someone chimed in immediately. She's the only one who still rides a bike. Fresh peals of laughter erupted. Bent frame? I considered. $200 might not cover it. The laughter died momentarily before roaring back louder. Sophia gasped between giggles. Just take the money. It's just some beat-up bicycle. A former dorm neighbor spoke up timidly. But cycling's trendy now. Some bikes cost, her voice drowned in the sea of mockery. Ignoring them, I told the server. Get me his contact. I'll send the repair bill after assessment. It's an imported model, might need overseas servicing. My mood soured remembering the recent gift now damaged. The server's eyes narrowed with suspicion, clearly thinking I was running a scam. Reluctantly, he connected the call. The driver's irritated voice crackled through. Echoed by classmates' chorus, $200 is more than enough. Sighing, I showed my payment receipt on the phone. The server blinked rapidly, rubbing his eyes. Miss, you're not some professional grifter. Are you? A classmate peered at my screen and shrieked. $58,000? Wait, $580,000? The room plunged into stunned silence. You can coordinate with my secretary. I handed over contact details and resumed my seat amidst bewildered stares. Emily. Someone finally ventured. Why would anyone buy a $580,000 bicycle? Must be photoshopped. Others whispered. Gifts from friends. I shrugged. Relief washed over the questioner. That makes sense. I mean, not that you couldn't afford it. Just seems impractical. Group gift. Right? Nervous laughter rippled. We thought you'd made it big. My former neighbor muttered. Even split 58 ways. That's $10,000 each. Nobody paid attention. As the banquet progressed through clouds of cigar smoke and boisterous toasts, I slipped outside for air. Moonlight bathed the empty street until footsteps approached. Logan materialized beside me, cigarette glowing. After years of silence, he spoke my name, Emily. We haven't talked in ages. I acknowledged. His nod was barely perceptible. No, we haven't. The moonlight stretched our shadows across the pavement. Two silent figures enveloped in the lingering scent of tobacco and unspoken history. After all, you blocked me everywhere back then. Logan continued. Actually, I left you messages in the music app. Under that song we used to listen to together. I don't even remember which song it was. He seemed pretty drunk too, suddenly wanting to reminisce about the past. I smiled politely. I haven't had much time for music lately. Logan glanced down at me, his smile turning wry like I was stubbornly refusing to admit something. You never change, do you? Always gotta have the last word. If you'd just swallowed your pride back then, maybe we wouldn't have broken up. He kept going. I remember thinking you were different from all the girls I'd ever met. They were spoiled, materialistic brats who blew money on designer labels. Yet in the end, his voice trailed off before finishing bitterly. He married exactly that type. I didn't get it at first. Then it clicked because he was the male version of those girls. People are products of their environment. When you grow up surrounded by wealth, resisting materialism's pull becomes complicated. Not that it defines anyone entirely. Over the years, I've worked with people from all walks of life. Regional quirks exist, but ultimately everyone's defined by their own choices. Clearly Logan didn't want philosophical discussions. Leaning closer with whiskey-rough warmth, he murmured, Emily, ever wonder what if? Where we'd be now if, nightmare fuel? I almost said. Instead I smiled. Your wife's beautiful. His laugh sounded like cracking ice. Still punishing me. Huh? You see her looks but not how she can't boil water. We've never cooked a meal at home in years. I eat at the office or restaurants. Guy can't even get a hot dinner. And those damn video game collectibles? Adopts cats when they're cute then gives them away. We're on our 6th. I turned away. He followed, voice rising. Stop pretending. I know you never moved on. Still single, aren't you? The absurdity almost made me laugh. This wasn't about lingering feelings, just his fragile ego needing validation. Look how broken she is without me. Can't find anyone better. We re-entered the private room. His fingers accidentally brushing my waist. 20 years dodging gropers at business dinners taught me the difference between clumsy and calculated. Before I could react, the Grant-obsessed woman from earlier squealed. Look! My idol's live streaming. The screen lit up with Grant in a flawlessly tailored suit. Shirt buttoned to the throat. The camera loved his aristocratic features, sharp jawline, intense gaze that somehow pierced through pixels. After a professional Q&A session, a journalist jokingly asked in Chinese, I heard Mr. Hayes is already married? Would you mind sharing? Before she could finish, Grant eagerly interjected. Absolutely. His eyes lit up like he'd been waiting all day for this question. Honey, are you watching this live stream? He continued, practically bouncing with excitement. Probably not. Since you're at your class reunion right now. No worries, I'll replay this clip for you later. He threw a cheesy heart shape at the camera, lowering his voice dramatically. I love you, Emily. The story ends with me leaving without my bicycle. It was in the shop. My driver picked me up in the Maybach. Through the tinted windows, I watched my former classmates' faces morph into priceless expressions. Logan particularly stood out, his complexion cycling through shades of green, black, and red like a human kaleidoscope. Later, many of them tried reaching out, My secretary became well-practiced in her response. Oh. You're one of Emily's alumni? Let me squeeze you into our special alumni priority queue, though there are currently a few hundred people ahead of you. We appreciate your patience. Once. Passing her office. I heard her switch tactics. Wait, you're saying you're Emily's ex? In that case, you'll need to schedule through Mr. Grant's office first. Excellent adaptability. I approved an extra bonus for her that month. The final encounter happened at a business cocktail event where Logan's CEO approached me for networking. I barely noticed Logan trailing behind until I caught him staring. The end.